moving on to Section 7, Property Conditions. As you can tell right here in Section A, be sure to read that as you have time, but there's nothing to put in here. We got to look at Section B that we have to address. This has to do with the seller's disclosures. Now, there are a handful of reasons why somebody would not have to submit these disclosures, but as of right now, most times you do. So if you're not familiar with those, ask your broker. We can talk about that. But if they're not required, you would put it down here. Things like new builds, estate sales, there's different options for that. But one of two things is usually going to happen. Either you're going to have received the notice, or if you have not received the notice, you have fill in the number of days. Usually I want something pretty short. I want to have like 3 to 5 days that I want to have those in there for any reason within 7 days. Once you get that, you can cancel the contract. So I want to get that pretty early so I can review it and have plenty of time. And that sometimes the buyer has received notice. I get this question a lot. It's like, well, how am I supposed to receive this notice if I'm sending the contract in, if I'm representing the buyer? Well, I'm going to pull up one of my listings in Sabor here. And this is a house that I'm personally listing. So if I go over here, if you pay attention over in a lot of these MLS listings, now this is Sabor. I mean, if you have Central Texas or Har or something, they're a little bit different places. But if you go to the additional information, a lot of times they will have the seller's disclosures there. So you can pull it up here, give it to your buyer client before they ever even sign the contract, and decide whether or not you want to go ahead and pursue this house or not. But that's how you can already receive it, if it's in the files associated with the MLS. So if that's the case, we're going to go ahead and check, yes, I've received it. As we move on a little bit further, one of two things, the Section D here, is acceptance of the property condition as is, means in its current state. 90% of the time, that's what you're going to check. If you happen to walk the property during your preview and you go out there when you're just taking a look at it and you're showing the property and you say, hey, look, I can't help but notice that the back fence has fallen down. I will buy this property. You can go ahead right now and say, hey, I need that back fence re-erected, or whatever it might be. Most of the time you're going to say buyer selects property as is. This does not tie you in for the entire length of the contract. It just ties you in for the first part of the contract. Once you're in the option period, you can definitely have an inspection and have a repairs amendment sent in. But if you know of a repair that you want done beforehand, this is the place that you put that right there. Sections E, F, G goes on and on and on. You can read through that. But as we get to Section 8, a residential service contract. Now, this is a home warranty. It's more commonly called as a home warranty. But the buyer may purchase a residential service contract. If the buyer purchased the residential service contract, the seller shall reimburse the buyer at closing for the cost of this contract. So basically what you're saying, if you're representing the buyer, is saying, hey, look, I want you to give me a home warranty on this thing to make sure the garage door and the dishwasher and all those things continue to work. You need to talk to your local home warranty companies. Most of them down here are somewhere between $500 and $1,000 for the first year. So you need to make sure you do that. But most importantly, guys, is if you have some relationship with this home warranty company, you need to disclose it. Okay? It's an optional thing. You do not need to put this in the contract, but I usually like to work that in.